And of course, to talk about the Yellow Grains, Ron is a cricket specialist or cricket pundit, you might want to also call him. Akanimo Kufre joins us, of course, this morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to the game.
Thank you, Favour Itua. It's good to have you here.
All right, and for Nigeria, we had hoped before now that by now we'll be looking at the table and say Nigeria is currently amongst the top 2 teams and looking likely to qualify for the World Cup. But that's not the case at the moment. Disappointing outing so far by the Yellow Greens.
Okay, there are positives that we can draw from this experience at Namibia, Favour. You know, it was not thought of that we will soon get to play the T20 World Cup qualifiers as fast as this time. But it is a nice experience for the boys to try out and see how they can live up to the expectations of the National President of Cricket Federation, Itua, who promised that Nigeria will be among the top 3 cricket playing countries in Africa. So the experience at Namibia is one of the things that we can go back to our drawing rooms and look at the positives and the negatives. For the positives, they are playing now. They just finished a first inning with a giant in Africa. After South Africa, you're talking about Zimbabwe. So the scoreline ended 110 for 8. That's loss of 8 wickets. So we are going to see what the boys are going to do in the second inning if they can play for glory, having lost out of this tournament. All they need now is to play for their name and gain more experience as they file out against top countries, especially from South African side.
All right, talking about top countries in the world of cricket, you mentioned South Africa, you mentioned Zimbabwe, Namibia also coming up, you know, to join with the likes of also Kenya and then Uganda. I mean, for Nigeria, in the last few years, we know that Akwa, the president of Nigerian Cricket Federation, has done a lot, and we've seen we've seen positives. But don't you think it's high time we start competing at the global stage and not just adding to the numbers of countries going to just play cricket in Africa?
Okay, Favour. I think we have been in the pipeline working towards this, especially under this administration of Mr. Akwa. Don't forget, cricket has status. It's still a little sport. The status of test countries are there, which we have only 2 from Africa. That is South Africa and Zimbabwe. And then we have the ODI status, which Namibia tops the ODI status when you call the ranking in this pack of 7. So Nigeria is really trying to offset the likes of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania to fuel up at the top level there. So what the boys have done, though disappointing, because especially the batting strategy of the players. The captain, don't forget, the coach is a Kenyan and one of the best. He has brought in his experience just to buttress what Bruce did some months back. So the discipline in the batting is what Nigeria needs to be able to compete at the top level of cricket. Cricket is a very fascinating game because it's not much of muscle, but it's much of intelligence and smart decision when you are out there in the middle.
All right, now you've talked about, what, of course, Nigeria cricket has done, and then looking at how we can take positives from this tournament. Now, I want you to be realistic at the moment. When do you think that Nigeria, or what year do you think Nigeria can compete favorably in Africa and, of course, in the world when it comes to cricket? What year are you looking at?
I can't say more than what the president said. The target Nigeria into top 3 is just around the corner. Let's say 2026. Cricket is a very interesting game that you need a lot of facilities. Unlike football, you need a lot of facilities to train to be able to beat your opponent. So he has been able to bring up those facilities, and then high performance activities also have been done for our boys to make sure that they are there. Our boys and girls, don't forget. Remember in the West African nation tournament that just rounded up in Lagos, the boys played their counterparts and came out clean sheet. This was a good experience. But going in against what somebody was saying, a lion's den, where you have Zimbabwe, Namibia, Kenya, Uganda, is actually a very poor call for Nigeria to close the lion's mouth. But looking at the strategy of the president, I am very sure that Nigeria can address this situation of batting challenge, bowling a little bit of it, and then achieve that status of being top 3 countries of Africa and playing at the global festival of cricket.
All right, well said. We can only hope. I mean, in this part of the world, we are used to, the word hope, and we'll keep hoping that Nigeria cricket do better, of course, on the continent and in the world. Thank you very much, Akanimo, Kufre. Maybe, hopefully, at the end of today, we'll have good news coming out from that game involving Nigeria and Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Okay, talking about good news, I was joining you from Uyo Township Stadium, where Uyo is leading if you're not in the Governor's Cup. Thank you so much,
Thank you very much. All right, that was, of course, Akanimo Kufre talking about Team Nigeria's run at the ongoing T20 Cricket World Cup right there in Namibia.